We live.
We're live.
How's it going, brother?
I feel great.
I
feel great. Feel rejuvenated. The cardio sessions that we do after training, I think, allow me to really kind of get more in tune with my body, and especially the mobility that we're doing prior to each session.
It's very essential.
It's very spiritual after a long day.
Yeah, I know. You kind of just like it. I think of it as like a mental prepping time.
Yeah, and it's a cleanse through all the
bullshit we have to put up on a day-to-day basis with working these damn jobs, but we'll save that for another day. Today, we want to address a very memorable event in our life, and that was our first dirty bulk. Oh, man.
Oh, man. Before we really get into the meat here, just want to thank everybody that has subscribed to the podcast and that is tuning into the podcast. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It's our third episode, and we're dropping them weekly, Friday mornings.
I'm honestly proud of that, bro. Just because, like, me and you, we've been so caught up with these treacherous jobs that we've had to work these past couple of months.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like mentally draining.
Yeah.
But kind of just flipping on this camera, turning on these mics, and like just having a conversation with you and our viewers, it's like refreshing.
It feels good, especially because a lot of the viewers are people that we're active with in our life, and so they share things that they connected with on the podcast. And
absolutely,
kind of keeps us networked, essentially.
Yeah,
which is really cool. And
it's really dope. But it's also dope for people like who don't really know us. They just know us from like the two dudes that always train together, that are always in the gym. Like it's kind of opening up a new spectrum that's allowing people to see who we really are as individuals and who we are as best friends.
Yes. And I think us training at Jacked, it's like there's always kind of there's like that massive networking aspect there where like everybody kind of talks to everybody. And I've noticed that like people always start out with like, dude, like what do you guys do? Because they always see us with the camera.
Yeah,
that's our primary filming gym, and it's a very compact space.
Very compact.
It's not very big. So you essentially pass by everybody, and there's not many people in each time we go. So it's like you kind of
and like
have those conversations.
Absolutely.
And
people become curious because like there's a lot of camaraderie in that gym. That's one thing that I do enjoy.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool. Like the privately owned aspect, as far as the conversations you're able to have sometimes. I mean, although I'm not a huge proponent for conversating in the gym, like training sessions are severely locked in.
Like if you guys ever see us out at the gym training,
we're not angry.
No, we're not angry. We just have like this look of destruction though, like that we're pissed off at the world. That we're not really mad. That's just we're just honed in on the training. We're just focused.
I always would try to tell people that would like call me out on it, like, dude, like you're so happy in real life. Like, why in the hell?
You're
so
so joyful. But like when you're in the gym and I see you, like I don't even want to talk to you because you just look pissed off.
Right. And I don't think it's anything even close to that. I primarily would sum it up as there's so much focus that goes into executing reps and executing sets, and the way we have the structure that we've built and polished over the years requires a lot of focus. That's just the look that follows from like the engagement that we put into.
Exactly. Like you really just honed in and focused at the task at hand.
But my golly, we make some cringy faces at times.
I'm sure. Yeah, dude. Like honestly, when I go back and like I watch our raw training videos, and like these are legitimate raw training videos.
It's our training, especially late at night.
And we're already tired because it's just super late. So it's like maybe at that point in time we're a little pissed off, but like some of the faces we made, and like I think in specifically it was our shoulder video. I was like, dude, I am making some cringy ass faces. I look ugly. I look like an ogre. I look like a brute.
Yeah. No, I feel that way as well. And I also feel like too, like when I reflect back on what we were initially inspired by, and we'll get into this heavily more so in a minute, but when I look back to essentially what our training is predicated off of, at least initially at first, was like classic 90s vigorous training. That's what we were inspired by when I really think about bodybuilders that we were introduced to. And I want to say like we discovered like pumping iron around the same time in like 2012, where it's like kind of a resurrection. I hadn't really seen it like crazy before that.
But when I seen it, I watched it multiple times. Like the first time I watched it, I remember watching it like maybe
Broke it down.
Like I watched it, kind of like it drew my attention, and I was like, what is this? Watched it again, started analyzing it, watched it again, and started breaking it down. And that's really when I became obsessed with the sport of bodybuilding. And like that's what led me to venture onto fitness YouTube, as we mentioned in other podcasts, and like discovering people like Chris Jones, Matt Ogus. And I have to thank Chris Jones personally, because this is going to transition into the topic, and that's our first dirty bulk. Like I remember I wanted to gain a massive amount of size.
Right.
Just because I just wanted to do it. I had like this attraction to it. So I started doing some research, came across Chris Jones's video where he talked about dirty bulking. And then you mentioned dirty bulking to me, and I was like, dude, no way. I've been thinking about the same thing, and we went on this adventure together. So I'll let you start off with some stories, and we'll kind of just go back and forth, because we have been through this journey from the start until now and until the end.
Until the end of time. It's the only way that we know how to do it.
It's the only way I know how to live my life.
Absolutely.
My life is based around training.
It's based around training, and it's always, okay, when wake up, first thing I think about is, okay, what do I got to do to get to training?
To get to the gym, what can I do right now and execute in a fast manner just so I can finish up early and we can go train.
Yeah. That's what I think. That's all I think about.
It's all we think
about. The dirty bulking aspect of things happened in 2012.
Yep.
July of 2012 specifically. We were transitioning from 8th grade, going into high school, getting ready to play high school football, right? Freshman football. It's the most exhilarating thing in the world, because
it's crazy.
You grow up in youth football, and
especially where we're from.
Exactly. Where we grew up, it's such a big deal, and it's really big for like the parents too,
right?
Because there's
pretty
a lot
much.
It's just like its own little community, and it's very special. And I remember specifically playing Buhack youth football when I played 2 years at Atwater, transitioned over to Buhack, and then I think this was 4th grade, and so 4th grade to 8th grade, and then transitioning into high school. Like, you look up to all these players that are in high school when you're in youth. You go to the high school football games. Your parents take you. You guys all watch. Like, it's packed. Back in the days, the games
the games used to get crazy. Not so much during our senior year. Buhack kind of fell off, unfortunately, but
we're very good.
Yeah,
it's okay.
It's all good. It happens.
Yeah.
But back when we were transitioning into high school, Buhack was a powerhouse, and I remember going to some of those games because I grew up in Merced.
Yes.
So I played youth football in Merced at Golden Valley Cougars, bro. And that was rough.
It's a tough team.
Yeah, tough team. Met some dope ass fucking people though. People that are still my friends today, like Dante. Interesting coaches. But anyways, like transitioning into Buhack, like going to those games was just crazy.
It was crazy. But that is what really prompted us to want to take weightlifting very serious. And I remember my dad specifically was like, dude, are you looking up to all these high school athletes? Like, you want to know what they're doing? They're in that weight room.
Yeah, they're lifting weights.
Back then, it wasn't the gym.
No,
it was the
weight room, the high school weight room.
The high school weight room, and we had a decent weight room.
Yeah, it was decent.
So we had benches, platforms, squat racks. There were like squat racks, and then platforms, and then benches,
and then
we had dumbbells from like 1 to I think like 150s.
Yeah.
Like, they went up there.
Yeah, we had some
curl bars,
like motherfuckers at that school.
Loaded curl bars. So when me and Rob started out,
that was our primary source.
But not only were we dirty bulking and playing football, we were doing nothing but compound intense lifts, and we were dirty bulking essentially to enable us to dive in to progressive overload.
Yeah, to lift more weight in those compound lifts.
Because everybody we watched, what do they vouch? And all the research we were doing initially upon your first initial training sessions, they all say the same thing. And it's true, because it's true. Your first 18 months of lifting is where you're going to make the biggest gains of your life and like build that foundation. And I think we took that dirty bulking approach because of that advice, combined with who we started watching.
That is very true.
You know what I mean?
It's very true.
And then I think in as far as committing to that while we were doing the lifts we were doing on top of playing football and trying to progress in that, our bodies went through a lot
of stress, definitely overtrained.
Probably
shouldn't have been doing it that way, but we were just so obsessed, and like
Bro, this is when we were doing deadlifts, front squat, power cleans, hex bar deadlifts, snatches, like
goddamn Olympic lifts,
dangerous movements.
They were crazy, bro.
Heavy low bar squatting.
And let me mind you, we are not being taught proper form
Negatory.
in this weight room.
No, I mean, because, and the reason I think that you're not, well, like you're definitely not taught proper form for sure, but coaches enable you to get away with your maxes with average form.
Yeah.
Right? You don't really necessarily have to hit full squat depth. You could be slightly above parallel. Hell, I'm a victim of it too. I even squeezed out some higher numbers.
Yeah.
used to have to get graded on your maxes.
Yeah,
in the sixth period. I was like,
this is crazy.
All right, well, I ain't touching my chest. Hell no. Because you used to get docked points if you failed, if you didn't progress.
The lift. I remember that.
I was like, bro, I'm already benching 285 pounds. I'm a junior. Like,
yeah. Like, why do I
weigh 195 pounds.
Why do I need to try to progress more with improper form? I'm just going to end up getting injured.
Right.
And that's why we sustained a lot of injuries, because we were dirty bulking. So we were in this very high caloric surplus because of the foods we ate. And those foods that we were eating were some of the craziest foods of my life. I remember I started like venturing to taco trucks, Mexican restaurants.
Let's go into that for a little bit, because I think this is something that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely.
Because I essentially think taco truck was the gateway to the reason why our dirty bulks were sustainable, and also why we kept it rolling.
Yeah, because they was efficient on the pockets.
Most of the time, I mean, guys that I see, you got 1, 2, 3 tops before it's just like, I mean, that's dirty bulks minimum. I think you should be going like 8 to 10 months. And then you put a nice cut in place. You maintain for either competition or just to be lean for summer.
Just to be lean, yeah, absolutely.
And then you dive right back into bulking, and
that's exactly what we did.
It's exactly what we did
several years.
Several years.
A majority of our life, like it became a lifestyle. So like going to taco trucks, getting carne asada burritos, getting carne asada tacos, like that was essentially an everyday thing, if not every other day. Like I was eating at taco trucks at least 4 to 5 times a week, because the burritos were $6, right?
Bro, back in the day, it was okay. It really, really got dangerous after like the first bulk. Actually, we'll back up really quick just before I get into that, like in depth. Yeah, for sure, because I definitely want to go in depth on it. But when we started that freshman year bulk, this is before we were driving, so we weren't even lifting in a gym yet.
No.
We all we had was our high school weight room. And that's when me and Rob met. That's when we discovered Fitness YouTube. And that's when we decided to dirty bulk upon our introduction to weightlifting.
Yep.
And so
at the high school level,
we were doing all these crazy vigorous exercises. We were incorporating progressive overload, and we were eating a ton of fast food, because this is back in the day when I didn't have no money. We didn't work.
No, we didn't work, and we didn't drive. So like our parents weren't gonna drive everywhere to go pick food up for us. So it's like, and we'll go to McDonald's or Taco Bell.
Right.
Which one today?
Exactly. And it's like, it's rare that you go grocery shopping with your parents.
No.
Like, and when you make suggestions, like it's very hard when you're suggesting ground turkey and freaking
shit that's a little more pricey because it's leaner.
Gigantic bags of brown rice. You know, I'm like, no.
Hell that out of the My mom wasn't buying that shit, bro.
We're sticking with ravioli.
Yeah, ravioli, hamburger helper, and sloppy joes. So I was like, fuck, bro. Like my first dirty bulk, like before we were even able to drive, that's primarily what I was eating, was just whatever was cooked at my house. But when we got our license, I think that's when it really got out of control, because we had completed our first bulk, so we're able to see how much food we were able to consume. And so we really started like, okay, last year I was able to put on this amount of weight by eating these foods. How about I start increasing my food intake to see how much more weight I can put on this year?
That's exactly how it was. And I also think, too, that upon starting the bulk, progressive overload, we really got to see what our genetics were made of. I think our genetics, in terms of our insertions, there are mirrors around this whole fucking weight room.
Yeah.
So we visually, it was like the first time where we're like actually seeing muscles move, contract,
and seeing
blood
like muscle
flow,
growth
muscle
for the first
growth.
time.
We're getting that feeling of a nice juicy pump.
The psychological
That
effects, bro.
juicy pump.
Doofy, you get the pump, baby.
doing heavy cheek curls.
Fucking arcing your back and
no.
like, dude, that's the
Barbell
worst.
standing shoulder press. That was the one where like psychologically progressing in that I haven't recovered.
No.
You can't.
Like, I don't know why we were doing that exercise, but you know what? It's all about the trial and error process.
It really is.
God damn, bro, we have messed some of our joints up permanently.
And let me remind you as well. I'm kind of getting off topic here, but whatever. There's time and place for everything.
It happens.
Gosh, what was I saying? Oh yeah, when we first started training at Fitness Evolution Merced, right when we started driving at 16, that is when we really started doing standing barbell shoulder press. But we were also doing back and shoulders on the same day.
Yes,
that's right. We were doing back and shoulder day. And though that day was intense.
It was like a 2.5 hour workout, sometimes three.
3. We were in the gym. We would do like 20 exercises.
And like fucking at least 6 sets per exercise. We were doing stupid amounts of volume.
Ridiculous.
Like that's not necessary. And I'm glad like we didn't stay in that realm, like keep on pushing in that meathead status, because we would be fucked up. There would be no training right now. We would be crippled. We'd barely be able to move.
We'd be like Ronnie.
Exactly. But guess what? We still be training. Nah, I don't know, bro. When you train like that, you get fucked up, especially if you're not careful.
It's mainly when you're trying to go heavy and you're still trying to like progressively increase your weight in the compound
I think
lifts.
like trying to go heavy way too soon and like progress way too quick as well. Like I remember like I was trying to increase my lifts weekly. Like that's...
We were diagramming
not
out
realistic.
We were diagramming out rep schemes and time under tension and stuff to make us stronger, along with increase the weight of our compound lifts.
Yeah.
So we had a ridiculous system in place for how old we were and what we were really doing at that time. We weren't eating all that great, but we were trying to train. We're like Olympian level bodybuilders.
But we were eating like shit. We were eating In-N-Out cheeseburgers, Jack in the Box, Carl's, taco truck.
McDouble days.
You're absolutely right. I didn't start fucking with In-N-Out probably till like junior year. That's when I discovered the 4x4, and I haven't gone back since.
Right, because that was like a trip to make from Atwater.
Oh yeah,
it still is. I mean, I'll make it all day long, but back in the day, that's like a trip like for your parents to make.
Yeah,
you really
it's like a 25-minute drive from Atwater to In-N-Out.
In traffic, for sure. And also, too, this is back... Well, it was always a special thing to go like see a movie on the weekend.
Right,
because
at the Merced Downtown Theater. Yeah, you knew you were going to In-N-Out after for sure.
And you were still kind of full from the popcorn, so it just hit.
The big-ass buckets of popcorn, bro, at fucking Merced Hollywood.
The main place. And that one is the one that has the self... You could butter dispense
dude.
by yourself.
I used to put cups of butter
Loads
in
of
my
butter.
popcorn.
I know there's people out there watching that were just... circle it.
Like a 10-second, like 10-second intervals. 10-second pour, shake. Like it's just, I remember that so
salt
vividly.
And then
dude, I remember it so
the salt
vividly.
drizzling down into the popcorn. Oh my gosh, the blue and red mixed ices, bro.
Fire.
Bro, what is it about ices?
Ices are phenomenal. I could literally, like, if they weren't so high in sugar,
I'd drink them every day.
Every day. And
they are so good. So good.
They're
like there's
phenomenal.
nothing like it in the summer when you get like you go to the gas station, you get the biggest size they have, Slurpee, and like you put the cap on so you have extra to where there's like that nice swirl in the lid, the clear lid, right? And then you stab that straw and and then you refill it because you already drank the cap full.
Yeah, honestly, bro, I discovered that slushy combination during like my second bulk. I remember me and Dante. That's because this is back when I lived at the Catalina house in Merced. So me and Dante, we'd walk to 7-Eleven. It was like half a mile walk, not even that bad. And we'd go there.
Yeah, 7-Eleven.
Yep, right there. That one, bro. We'd make that walk in the middle of the fucking summer. And I remember it was like it was 7-Eleven. You know how they do the free slushy, like bring your cup,
Yeah.
free slushy
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
So I brought a 32-ounce cup, and I did the slushy mix. And I swear to you, bro, I went back almost every other day that summer. I was probably having like 4 to 5 slushies a week. Dude, I was going in.
No.
I was having 4 to 5 slushies a week. And like this is when my dad introduced me to Thai food, so I was eating Thai cuisine like at least 3 times a week.
What was the normal order from Thai cuisine at the time? Like what were they like there? Like what was the service like?
Honestly, the service there is phenomenal. I've been going to that.
It's always been phenomenal.
Yeah,
right?
I've been going to that Thai location, Thai cuisine too, in Merced, Ramadan. Check it out if you're in the area. Phenomenal Thai
New
food.
Thai as well.
New Thai is super good, but I
Jeez.
didn't discover New Thai until we found it. I never really had gone there, but Thai cuisine too, that was the spot, bro. I'd get orange chicken, like 4 cups of rice, sticky rice, just all the whole spread. I'd
Orange
get barbecue chicken. And like, bro, my dad is like super exotic with eating food, so like I'm getting off topic, but whatever.
Oh,
Bro.
hey, it's all good.
This is the first time I ever tried some duck.
Really?
Yeah, bro, that shit was honestly good. They have like this little chili sauce, you dip it in there. It's pretty fire, but definitely an acquired taste.
Wow.
But fuck all that shit. Let's talk about the real foods, bro. Let's talk about the dirty bulk foods, the mountain mics, the In-N-Out trips, the Carl's orders.
Did you have like growing up? This was big for me. Growing up, we had in my household. I don't know. I'm sure other families had this. I'm not sure if it was as in place as mine, but we had a consistent, I'm not even kidding, like decade-long consistent fast food Friday.
We used to have Pizza Friday. Grandpa Jimmy used to come home every Friday with a box of pizza from different pizza locations, whether it's Mountain Mike's,
You would mix it up?
Little Caesars. He'd mix it up. Sometimes he brought home the Papa Murphy's self-bake, the Meat Lovers. That shit was pretty fire.
Ooh.
That was pretty fire.
Ooh.
Domino's. Well, when he brought the Domino's, I was kind of like, whatever.
Sometimes,
I'll still eat it.
Sometimes when it was fresh, Little Caesars would hit.
Oh, hit, bro.
Hit.
And my Grandpa Jimmy used to come with like 5 boxes because they were fucking $5 each. Spend
Or they were
25.
like $30.
It's ridiculous. You get 5 boxes for $30.
And there's 8 slices a box. Ask me how I know that. Multiple times. Yes.
Finishing a whole box? Several times, right?
s-
I don't know what it is, but
dozens.
Little Caesars pizza is super easy to pound.
It's so easy to eat.
As opposed to like a Mountain Mike's pizza.
Oh, no. Heavy.
Mountain Mike's
Dense.
is brutal. Like, and I really realized how brutal it was when we did that addiction
The overcoming
video.
addiction video.
And if you guys haven't seen that video, go check it out. It's a crazy video. Me and Jace tackle a whole Mountain Mike's pepperoni pizza.
Link will be in the
Yeah,
description.
we'll put that
actually.
shit in the description. That video's sick.
Yeah, that's definitely the video where people have like reached out the most, and
Yeah.
it made me feel like, wow, maybe we are progressing in this content creation shit.
I think
'Cause
it's,
like you get to a certain point where you're like, man, what should I be doing differently? Because you're always thinking of progressing.
like how you can get better,
Yeah,
how we
and
can grow the channel faster.
Right, and I think that addiction video like really showed like how much food we can pound.
Like once we start doing like, once we start bringing in the food challenges, once this fucking cuts over and we go back into maintenance, you guys are going to see a whole different realm of Conquer Radically.
100%.
Because you guys are going to probably be seeing not weekly, bi-weekly, 2 a month. We got to keep it a little conservative. I ain't trying to get fat again because this cut sucks.
It honestly, this has been the worst, absolute worst cut of all time. Actually, prior to filming this podcast, we were actually just going to do a whole raw therapeutic cleanse as far as like how psychologically this cut's been taking a toll. Because me and Rob have really pushed the limits in terms of our bulking weight, like our final bulking weight that we reach, and then we like, okay, let's start cutting.
And like, bro, it just sucks because like this bulk wasn't like, I'm not even gonna call this bulk a past bulk. I'm gonna call it a weight gain.
It was
like we got fat.
We got fat
because we weren't training.
I bet people legitimately thought, and it's crazy to say this. I'm gonna like, I definitely want to elaborate on why this so psychologically messed me up so bad, but not being able to train, and like you said, it wasn't necessarily a bulk. It wasn't like a structure.
No.
Here's the training. here's how the training gets modified every week in terms of exercise selection, sets, RPE, reps and reserve, right?
There's no structure.
There was no structure. There was no structure with the diet. We weren't testing certain carbs. We weren't incorporating our favorite fat. There was just the fact that we couldn't train consistently at a training facility that we need, right?
Right.
With everything that we need.
Right.
That is what really prolonged the bulk and essentially was why the bulk transitioned to a weight gain rather. Because
excessive weight gain.
Excessive weight gain. Because I remember I was at the point where I was 205 right when we stopped when gyms closed.
Yeah, I was like 215, 218. Like I was fairly lean.
You were fairly lean. I remember we were both very lean at that time because I had just came off my most successful cut ever. I'd gotten down to 182 pounds.
Fucking crazy.
It was definitely one of the most dialed in cuts as far as efficiency, 2 pounds a week, and really dialing it in, transitioning to maintenance very well. But aside from all that, started my bulk in August, was able to bulk until March. And actually that's right around the time where I was thinking of like pushing the bulk hard and amplifying the training more to kind of really take advantage of like the last couple months. I think I was going to start my cut in around May, I want to say. And March is when gyms closed. I want to say it was like March 19th because I remember specifically Crunch had closed. I actually trained there like a Wednesday or Thursday or whatever it was. And I remember when the front desk had like informed you upon checking in, scan your key tag, hey man, unfortunately, like, you know, due to COVID-19, that virus that's going around, because this is when it was super entry level.
Yeah, super entry level.
March of 2020.
And then once that happened, it fucking spread like wildfire. Gyms everywhere shut down. You were lucky if you were able to find a gym, and if 100%. You did, that shit was super low key.
100%.
And you were probably commuting like 40 to 50 minutes to go train at that gym.
You had to search for it, and it was like real work.
A lot of them weren't even like taking new members. It was like if you're a member there, then you still get trained, but unfortunately, like we're not signing members up.
Phones are off. Phones are turned over.
There's black trash bags on the windows.
That's what I was. That's what I was alluding to. Was when Crunch had closed, I was like looking all over for a gym. I want to say the exact date was around like the 13th of March, right? And that same night where I found out I couldn't train, I called Fitness System Land Park location, right?
Yeah.
I called them up. Dude answers. I was like, hey man, my gym just closed because of COVID. Like, are you guys going to stay open? Like, are you guys open currently?
Right.
Like, yeah, dude, we're open. We have no plans of shutting down. Because this is back when like, shut down if you want. Like, we're not too freaked out yet.
Yeah.
Proceed. Right. So
like just kind of do it at your own risk.
Certain commercial gyms got kind of freaked out and kind of knew what was happening anyway, just because of like clickbait media at the time.
Yeah.
It was really starting to explode, and statistics were rapidly rising.
And they were updating every day. And
every
like
day.
Just
hourly.
Hourly. And it was being announced how worse it was getting. So like I think big corporate gyms are like, oh no, like it's time to just go ahead and shut down, prevent any lawsuits in the future, prevent a spread, and just all that.
And then on the 12th, it fucking Crunch shut down. I discover Fitness System. I go, I sign up, and ironically so, Fitness System on March 19th shuts down. And that is when that's when it started. So I think at that time I was like 207, and I was feeling good, like really good. It was the best.
I remember you telling me it was
the best I'd ever felt.
Feeling great right now.
It was the best I'd ever felt, and I think I was on pace to have my most successful bulk. But I'll get into why this was still my most successful bulk, and it was fucking your most successul bulk too.
Absolutely.
It was absolutely our most successful bulk ever. And the reason being is we were detrained. I essentially, this sounds kind of crazy, but I just think that the diet that me and Robert transitioned to, although it was extremely unhealthy and way too amplified in terms of a calorie surplus, I think there was massive benefit as far as how much protein and fat we were taking in.
Oh, absolutely.
Although it might have been unhealthy, we were still maintaining a lot of our size because we were gaining weight.
Yeah.
But a lot of that muscle tissue and that muscle memory stayed there, because when we got back into the gym, March, April, May, June, I think what would you say, like mid to late July?
Yeah, like I moved here like towards the tail end of July.
Yeah. I want to say it was August 1st.
Yeah, I think
right?
August 1st, and we're kind of like searching for a gym. We knew of a couple, but then we'll keep the name disclosure so they don't get in trouble. But we found that gym in Fair Oaks.
Oh, boy.
And it was game changer.
Yes, it was.
Because
This is a good facility.
Good facility. Very brand new. Equipment was very efficient. Some of the best hammer strength machines I've ever used. And that's when we finally got to train with mag grips, which are absolutely phenomenal for pool days or back oriented workouts. But anyways, like finding that gym was so beneficial because we were in such a like desperate state to train because we knew that we needed to do something. We knew that we were going to launch the channel. We had to get shit going. So like we started training hardcore. We tried to do like little cuts, but we weren't there psychologically. So they failed. But the only thing that didn't let up was the progression of training. We kept progressing. We kept getting stronger. We kept getting bigger. And that's what inevitably led to us saving the bulk, right? Saving, like we'll just term it saving the bulk.
That was it. And I think it was one of the more special things that I've ever accomplished.
Absolutely.
With myself.
As a lifter and like...
As a lifter, as someone who's dedicated a lot of time to studying the greats, acquiring any type of knowledge I could from any person that I thought was credible.
Like exploring every resource.
Every resource possible, reading books on anatomy, doing extensive research with nutrition, dirty bulking, clean bulking, cutting, etc. I mean, so much stuff. Watching dudes progress too in the gym, consecutive years, what they did, the systems that they had in place, watching that before your very eyes through YouTube series, etc. That was huge. And
like I really felt like
that's kind of what propelled us into
and like that
enabling us to do that.
Yeah, and that event, I felt like us saving the bulk like really showed us how much knowledge we've obtained over the years, like between our own like our individual research and like just from experience. And even though like we both looked like trash, we looked like shit, like we were fat. I look at photos from back then, bro.
I'm disgusted with myself.
And I'm just like, how? Why?
I cringe.
Why did you let yourself get to that? But I will say that is the strongest me and you have ever been in the gym.
Ever.
As in like being natural, I feel like that might have been the peak of our strength. Like we were pressing the 110s on dumbbell shoulder press.
It was hands down. I remember there were consecutive weeks towards the tail end this is when we had first moved in, bro. No joke. And we were eating whole Thai
I pulled
chickens.
up and we went to Cha Thai. We got whole chickens,
Mimosa
House,
drinking,
Black Bear Diner,
soda
fries, burritos, pizza, like everything that was unhealthy, we ate. We even went as far as eating sweets. You remember when me and you went down to that ice cream spot?
No,
Letherby's, brother, fucking Letherby's. And that was the same day that me and you got Mod Pizza and Taqueria Maya.
Because that was the day.
That was the day.
Honestly, this is crazy because we have... It's a shame because like we're probably going to have to release it at some point.
Yeah.
But we have ridiculous footage of that very day.
Of that day.
Of when we were at Mod and we immediately went to fucking Taqueria Maya, got burritos, 2 tacos, we downed them. I remember weighing in after that meal at 236 pounds. And I remember you weighing in at I think it was like 256.
256.
257, around there. And I think I remember that one time where we both weighed in at the gym that we were going to at the time, and it was one of the most scale.
I was so sad that day.
262, and I was 236.
Yeah, and that's when I was like, okay, I think it's time to start doing something.
I was thinking more about it, like, okay, August, before I started this ridiculous, gruesome, haunting, psychologically draining, psychologically scarring experience through being detrained The thing that I love more than anything in this world, the thing I enjoy most about being a human being, is taken from me, and there's nothing I can do about it. Nothing.
And so what did we do? We reverted to something that we love. That was our first love, and that's food. Like
food.
Me and you love food.
Like the fact
and that will always be with us. That's why we have to be careful.
Right. And I think that goes to show how much love and respect we have for like traditional bodybuilding, right?
Yep, right.
Because training was revoked. But what is half the battle with the entire sport of bodybuilding and progression? Food. So we turned to that entirely 100%.
100%.
To supplement for that 50% of training that's revoked.
Bro, you want to know what I think honestly happened? I think that time in our life, like it really brought us back to when we were 14, 15 years old and we were going through those dirty bulks for the first time. And I think we just fell in love because we were reminiscing on those memories. And so we really didn't. The nostalgia. And we really didn't even care about the excessive weight gain because we were just so happy.
Absolutely.
Because like.
We really were.
Yeah, I was joyful all the time.
I was so happy. We were so happy. Like, not that we're not happy now. We're very happy. But like back then,
it was we just had a different vibe to us. The mood,
because we knew that like we were eating so good. Like back when we were eating whole eggs, like
eating the same foods,
whole eggs, Kodiak cakes, turkey bacon,
like that
shakes.
Shit gets fucking boring after a while.
Yeah,
like it's good, you can make it good, but it just gets boring. It's a little repetitive. So when we threw that structure out the door and we started just to indulge on things like barbecue, taco trucks, pizza, like all the shit that we
became food connoisseurs.
Yeah, and it resurrected the child within us.
It really did. And it really like solidified that.
I'm getting caught now. Jesus. Thirsty.
Honestly, I think that too, that we were also scarred from all the vigorous cutting we had to do in youth football.
Yeah, bro, because we were playing youth sports that required us to lose like fucking 10 pounds.
I remember specifically being in Pee Wee. Right, it was the year that I went from Atwater to Buhack, and it was when I was in fourth grade. I was 10 years old.
Having to run with a fucking sweatsuit on.
Having to run with a sweatsuit and packing peeled oranges for lunch. Peeled. My goodness. Peeled oranges. I'd show up with a black freaking square lunch pail with a Ziploc with 2 oranges.
Bro, like, that's so sad that we had to go through that shit. At such a young age. That's like, it has to have psychological effects on your well-being.
Absolutely.
Like you're going to school. There's kids there that are eating school lunch or they have nice meals packed from home, and like you're just showing up with a bag of oranges.
A bag of oranges.
That's your lunch.
And not only that, you know you're going to have to go to practice and run, and you know you're going to have a very light dinner. Probably tuna sandwich. My God. Tuna and mayonnaise.
Terrible. That's so terrible.
And also, too, I think that season I started out at like 134, I want to say, and the weight limit was 115. Yeah. I missed like the first 4 games. And I remember,
that's similar to me.
And I remember specifically, when I weighed in at my boxers, and I made weight for the first time at 114.8.
You're like, fuck yeah.
I was lean, bro. I was a lean 10-year-old. Like, I filled out that weight because there were kids that were fucking 74 pounds still.
Like, dude, I can't believe like
we hit 100 pounds early.
Yeah, and I know like I just can't believe the organization like lets little kids cut weight.
Like it's crazy. And coaches like grilling you that you need to make weight.
Like that shouldn't be a thing.
No.
That shouldn't be
allowed.
And
of course, this is back when like before youth football transitioned and you had Mondays off, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday were all 2-hour full padded practices, and then Fridays were just helmets only, and then Saturday games.
So you had one day off. You had Sundays off, and then you repeat the fucking process for a majority of our life.
And this is when we were doing cat in the alley, Oklahoma drill, going live every practice.
Concussions.
bowl in the ring.
That's illegal.
It's illegal now. And we were doing it at 8 years old.
I think that's why me and you have trouble remembering things.
I know.
You know how much brain trauma we have from playing youth sports our entire life and then playing all of high school?
It's tremendous.
We played football for almost a decade.
Through adolescence, through development, brain development, cognitive development. Like, I legitimately think that there's some psychological scarring from that'll never go away.
Sure.
And I remember hearing briefly on that Ben Askren, Joe Rogan podcast where Ben was dropping all these statistics of NFL players' brains that played for 15 plus consecutive years, and all of them had severe
and there's
CTE.
even research showing now that even kids that play pretty much any type of slight contact has the potential of causing some type of brain injury, which they're not saying it does, but can lead to CTE. And some of the signs of CTE, if there was a test, if there was a CTE scanning test, a scan to show you if you had CTE, I'm pretty sure me and you might be on that spectrum.
We would both have it. And I don't necessarily understand to the fullest if there is a scale that measures severity as far as where we would rank
amongst
in
other
comparison
cases,
to other
to other
cases,
people,
for sure. Because when I think about all the undiagnosed concussions I've had, where you just kind of played through them, you're dazed for a minute.
You don't even really know any better because you're still a young kid. But as you start to get older and you get diagnosed with your first concussion, and then you think back to all these other years, and you're like, oh, yeah, I've had these multiple
times, and especially when you're getting them when you're 11, 12, 13, that's not very good.
No, it's not good for brain development.
Not a chance.
Bro,
getting blindsided and
oh no, dude,
gosh.
it's absolutely just not an optimal thing for development and for health and longevity of your brain.
Not a chance. And I think transitioning from that psychological, stuff we had to deal with that type of cutting, leading up to what we were dealing with as far as transitioning to lifting.
Right.
I think that the memory I definitely felt like it was skewed.
Yeah.
Like I do now, essentially.
Yeah.
I definitely think that definitely has something to do with certain symptoms that we have. And I'm probably not going to go through getting measured, but I wouldn't be surprised if I did, that I would be ranked pretty decently on the spectrum for having active CTE.
Yeah, or some type of neurological damage due to brain trauma. Just think about how many head-on collisions we've been in throughout the sports of playing football.
Hundreds.
It's just crazy to think about. I think about it. I catch myself thinking about it every now and then, and now that we're on the topic, I'm really thinking about it now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of we were placed in some very, very dangerous situations as far as our brain goes. That shit. If I could go back, I would not play youth football.
Not a chance, dude.
I would figure something else out.
Yeah, I would. I wish I honestly, it sucks because we probably would have started juicing when we were 16 years old. But
I would have committed to bodybuilding.
100%. And we would have gone through all the trial and error from the get-go, and our joints would be in better shape.
But we might not be in such good health because we would have started juicing at 16, 17 years old.
Yeah.
And we would have took advice from some meathead in the gym or from
Boston Lloyd.
from Boston Lloyd, whoever, right? Just we would have just fucked ourselves up. We would have gynecomastia. We'd have our kidneys would be fucked. Our bodies would be barely operable.
Disproportioned. I feel like it would get to that point where we wouldn't necessarily look like physique artists. It would just kind of
just look like two meatheads that hopped on juice and don't know shit about training or nutrition.
Be like a dumpster fire, right? In terms of how the physique actually looks from third party perspective. Yeah. And I think that is transitioning back to in completion of this previous bulk that we went on. Started training in July, the most intense training that we've ever done together. And I think that it was our heaviest in not only every lift, but every exercise, every machine in the gym. We were able to go as heavy as we ever have with
absolutely.
everything. And we were able to pound so much food. We were like 4 wholesome meals a day.
Like, we stopped eating big in comparison to how we were eating, but in reality, we were still eating pretty fucking big. Like, we were eating as big as we would have if it was a calculated bulk.
Yeah. And I remember specifically, we didn't do cardio for the longest time until we started.
We couldn't. We couldn't do cardio. I remember we tried to do like cardio at one time, and I think we got maybe like 10 or 15 minutes in, and like,
on the bike?
Yeah, on the bike.
Oh, gosh.
We're like, well, fuck this. Let's go home.
Yeah.
Let's go eat. Let's go get some chips.
We convinced ourselves that we got enough cardio, minimizing rest in between sets. Like, oh, dude, look at how much we're dripping sweat.
Bro, we were just in full denial. We were just in full denial.
In full denial. And we were also in full denial when we started our cut, and we thought that what we were eating
was good, and that we were going to get lean.
We were like, oh, dude, we're going to get shredded. No, we would not.
Bro, I don't know what it was. I think it's just we became so adapted to eating like fucking crazy men. Like,
and I remember when we like, we started that diet, and then we started swimming laps at the apartment pool, and we thought we were getting lean.
Bro, I can't believe we're going to the pool looking like that. That's pretty embarrassing. That's pretty fucking embarrassing. I know for a fact. I know for a fact that my gut was hanging over my trunks.
That was a fact. And okay, that was something that I remembered that I really wanted to address here, because I think it kind of ties hand in hand. But the psychological effects of dirty bulking, right? I think that has a lot to do with how people perceive you.
Yeah.
For instance, when I am shredded, or I wouldn't say shredded, when I'm very lean to the point where I do look shredded, what's it called? I'm about 182, 183 pounds. 185 on average. That's like a weight that I'm very comfortable with maintaining.
Right.
In that like 183 to 186 range. I could stay there for months on end. Really awesome training. I eat whatever I want pretty much. I have 2 to 3 cheat meals a week. So that's like my sweet spot. Fairly lean. But transitioning to the bulk and like gaining all that weight back. I'm talking going from 182 and taking 8 months to progressively gain about anywhere from 35 to 45 pounds, depending on how intense I want to push it. And that's all predicated on how my joints are feeling.
Right.
When I feel like when I'm at that point where I'm like, okay, do I start this cut or do I amplify it, push? Because that is where, if you can like convince yourself to push as far as you can, as far as like how much your frame genetically can hold, and that's where a lot of gains are made.
Also,
because you're
though,
already
I think
at
it's
a
about
place.
how you approach that psychologically, though, because some people don't like to take their bodies to that extreme because they get a little insecure about how much body fat they're putting on, especially when you're used to like being lean fairly year round or a majority of the year. So I think that's something that I'm pretty sure you've dealt with. Me, I've never necessarily really dealt with because I've never like truly gone on a vicious cut. I mean, I've leaned down just because I knew I was getting a little too fat, too high in the body fat percentage. But for the majority of my life, I have sat between 18 to 21% body fat for like the last 5 years, just training, progressing, improving, and
progressive overload,
and just packing on as much mass and building a natural foundation. And like, now that I've committed to this cut psychologically and like I'm fully committed, I don't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's just really, I'm going to be really excited to see what I'm able to bring to the table. And like, I'm just happy we get to document all this shit on our YouTube channel.
Me too. And I'm very excited too, from someone who's been able to train with you and had that privilege to train with you for consecutive years and really honing in on making each other better. That's been the biggest thing for me. The biggest takeaway for me is constantly getting better and dedicating a massive portion of our lives to this. Like it really has been like always constant training, like training, diet, sleep, regulating everything.
That's been honestly, that's been a majority of our lifestyle
Yeah.
since we were 14.
And when we transitioned to being on our own, it's like, okay, how do we fund being able to train?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we're on our own now.
Yeah, we have to pay our own bills.
Let's minimize our bills
as much as possible.
So that our work is essentially just funding our place to live and our ability to train consistently.
The basic needs.
And it's so crazy that we're literally grown men now. It's crazy to say that. We're 23 freaking
I know,
years
it's
old.
fucking crazy, bro.
And it's like, it's just crazy that we've put ourselves in that position, all predicated on how much love we have for not only training, but training together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And progressing together. That's hands down like the most special thing I've got to experience that not a lot of people get to. Not a lot of
people get to have like a training partnership like me and you have. Like
not
me and you have been training with each other for almost 10 years. And so like we know how hard to push each other.
Natty training.
Yeah, and we know how
Jeez.
And we know how to like just drive each other like emotionally and physically. Like when one of us is slacking off, we recognize it and we kind of confront it with each other, and that just allows us to just stay consistent to make sure we're not letting each other down. So it's like in that way, it's elevating us both individually but also together.
Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest things we hone in on, and I think that's essentially why we've become such big fans of the sport, and we've looked at it not just in terms of progressive overload and consistently, but like the artistic, spiritual aspect of bodybuilding, right? Where it's like you're essentially a physique artist, and you're pretty much recognizing your genetic strong points and recognizing your genetic weak points and manipulating that to have a symmetrical aesthetic look, right? Like, because I feel like we were huge fans of like the late 70s, early 80s aesthetic, like essentially the classic
like
physique
the golden
today.
era.
Yeah, like the Frank Zanes, the Arnolds, Charles Glass.
Nah, Charles Glass is crazy, bro.
Yeah, and I think we have an immense love for that look because it's more of like a natural look because the training wasn't as advanced as when Dorian came into play. So we're combining our training from an artistic viewpoint to achieve that like Arnold Frank Zane aesthetic look at our cutting weight, but we're implementing the training principles and philosophies of a Dorian
of mass
Yates,
monsters, of your Dorian Yates, your Ronnie Coleman's, like those types of individuals, your Jay Cutlers,
but with the precaution and safety.
Yeah, like not getting injured.
Absolutely.
Which is, I think, is a huge proponent in our fitness journey and why we've been able to do it at such a high level for such a long time. And I think that I've known so many people over the years that, you know, have gotten injured or essentially discouraged. And I've been there where I've like almost gotten discouraged. Like, dude, I don't have the genetics for this. I feel like I'm wasting my time. It's like,
I can maintain a lean physique.
Yeah, but it's like, also it's like, bro, like you don't have to have a Mr. Olympia physique. It's like, if you enjoy training, then just keep training. Like, just build the best body that you can build. Everybody's genetics are going to be different. You got to stop comparing yourself to other people. You got to achieve your best body and do it for you and sculpt the body that you want.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest takeaway for me. And I think the thing I love, the aspect of fitness I love the most is that genetically, whether you have above average Chris Bumstead, Arnold Schwarzenegger genetics, or you have low average to below average genetics.
Right.
Like maybe structurally you have very narrow shoulders, or you have very wide hips, so you'll never have a tapered waist on stage. And you have to manipulate that with building your back wider to kind of have that more aesthetic judging viewpoint.
You got to proportion a different body section of your body out to kind of counteract your genetic dispositions.
Exactly. That's like so perfectly said. And I think a lot of the time that's how like high level IFBB Pro style bodybuilding is judged from a viewing standpoint. It's like how big and aesthetic can you look while being shredded with detail.
Absolutely.
And like I think that's where like those genetic advantages come into play. And anybody can get lean and manipulate their genetics to look impressive. And I think that's like the biggest takeaway. It's like not everybody's going to step on stage and compete. I've never competed, and I've done this for a very long time. Same with you. And same with so many other people I know.
Yeah, a lot of people just fall in love with it for the process and just the self-discipline it takes.
And the therapeutic aspect of things.
It's very therapeutic. That's why I love training so much, because it's my form of self-therapy.
Is essentially it's just lifelong therapy.
Yeah.
There's nothing like the feeling of just how much time we've put into it has led to just such consistent. I haven't had a bad workout in years, a slack workout. It's just we've gotten to that point where we know what needs to get done.
And when I do have a bad workout, I figure out like how to prevent that from happening again.
Absolutely.
Like usually it's high levels of stress or something that I'm dealing with from outside the gym, or just
not enough carbs,
especially like right now. Like
exactly.
Dieting, it's like showed me like how much commitment you really have to have to the shit, because when you're dieting as hard as we are, it gets extremely tough to get to the gym and work out. 100%. And like when you are there, you have to make sure you're not just going through the motion, like just going through the movements. Like you have to actually make sure you're tuning in and you're connecting with the muscle.
And when you're really low on carbs, that's when you recognize actually how hard it is to really lock in the mind muscle connection consistently through every set for the workouts.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's skewed to where it kind of essentially throws off your timing, like your rep timing. It's like, dude, I would normally have a much stronger contraction. I would be so much more in control of each eccentric on every rep, and I wouldn't be so fatigued in between sets.
That's one of the biggest things. Fatigue
in between sets, because we go at a very rapid pace, and so when certain structure was disproportioned throughout the day, and we had carbs maybe a little too early in between eating carbs and training, or we didn't have enough carbs. We should have had more.
Like missing a meal due to like our working schedule, or just like stuff that is kind of out of our hands or out of our control. And that's something that me and Jason have honestly been discussing quite frequently. And we're about to make some pretty big changes. We're going to keep those a little discreet for now. But is there anything else you want to address, bro? Or
man, I honestly loved the way the content kind of transitioned in this episode. This was a really fun one, man.
I mean, sorry guys, we didn't really talk about our first bulk. Maybe we'll save that for like a fitness video.
I feel like there's so many gateways within what we just talked about that like essentially tie in to what our first dirty bulk led
and like we're still
to,
trying to like figure out the structure for this podcast. Like we're kind of going back and forth of like, should we create structure, or should we just turn on the camera, throw on the mics and just record?
Right.
And like, so you guys actually, let's get your guys' opinion. Like, you guys let us know in the comments down below, like, should we have structure, or should this just be kind of like a loose conversation about whatever, and just kind of address current topics or current situations that have drawn like current thought for us, and like just discuss that on this platform with you guys.
Absolutely. I love that. Make sure you do that. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Absolutely. I hope you're killing it in the gym. Everybody better be killing it in the gym. Everything's open now.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure. I think I've gotten emails.
And if it's not, it's fucking opening up.
I've gotten emails from so many gyms that I've had.
Shape and Merced's open now. Like I'm pretty sure gyms have. Maybe not in LA. I'm not too sure. Well, Zoo Culture's open.
Yeah.
Drive on down.
Yep. Absolutely, man. Everything's open nowadays, as far as I'm concerned. I'm getting ready to toss my masks. I'm not even vaccinated. I'm a little worried about the vaccine, but hey,
is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But if you guys enjoyed the podcast episode, hit that thumbs up. Subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one, and make sure you guys hit those comments and let us know what you guys want to hear next.
Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Peace.
See you later.